And right on cue, with us coming up on the presidential election race coming up here soon, we're going to go ahead and hit on gun control once again because it hasn't been talked to fucking death yet. So, the California governor has decided to petition a 28th Amendment, which will basically implement a lot of federal level gun control devices in play. So, let's go ahead and see what the California governor has to say.
Every time, it's the same. They tell us we can't stop these massacres.
Because we fucking can't. What don't you people get through your fucking skull? Like, I know you in particular, you're just lying to have for your political agenda to increase your own goals, right? I understand you, but I mean the actual people behind you, the people who vote for you thinking that you actually mean what you say or you actually care about this topic, right? Those are the people I'm addressing in this. What don't you people understand about the fact that there is no real solution to this? This is not a gun issue. This is a people issue. This is a modern age problem. All right, the amount of gun-related mass killings, yes, has it increased? Exponentially. Do I think it's genuinely this massive problem that they are trying to claim it is? No, I don't think it is, and I will show you how I believe, or why I believe that it isn't. Just stop trying to fucking listen to these idiots that don't actually care about what you care about. They're using you to further their own agenda. Because anybody who actually looks at the statistics, anybody who actually looks at any of the research into any of these issues they can pretty easily read it off that it's not a gun issue. And it's especially not a fucking quote-unquote assault weapon issue. So no, we can't fix this problem. Not by banning guns, not by regulating them heavier. That's not something that's going to help us. I would be a lot more open to hearing ideas about how to stop these events via, I don't know, social programs like mental health awareness and things like that. Giving the communities that desperately need help in that regard the help that they need in order to limit these events. You're never going to get rid of them entirely. The whole goal is not to erase them from existence, okay? That's not gonna happen. You're gonna have massive fucking crazy people throughout the entirety of the United States, alright? We have a lot of fucking people out here. There's gonna be some fucking psychos out there. It's gonna be okay, though. I swear to you. Our goal is to limit them, not erase them. And I don't hear anybody giving me any genuine ideas on how to do that. Your first fucking talking point is, of course, to get rid of guns. What is getting rid of guns going to do?
They tell us we have to stand by and watch tragedy after tragedy unfold in our communities.
Nope. Literally no one says that. No one says we just have to sit there and watch it. Nobody says that we have to sit there and take it. Both sides have their own ideas of how to confront this problem. You could take it to the very extremes, right? The extremes on both ends. The extreme on the left is to just outright ban all weapons. Specifically, ban all assault weapons. Nobody can ever have them. Ban magazine capacities over like 10 rounds, right? That's the extreme position these days. Now, on the right, you have the extreme position of literally arm everybody. Every single person should be walking around with a gun 24/7, and you won't have these problems. Because whoever fucking tries to shoot somebody, they'll immediately get shot by the 20 other motherfuckers that have a gun, right? Both sides have their own fucking, oh my god, it's such bullshit to sit here and say that, oh, nobody's, like, they're just saying we have to take it. We just have to accept that that's a part of society, and it's gonna just go on forever, and everybody's gonna keep on just, mass shootings are gonna be a thing for, you know, a bunch of mass shootings, I should say, are gonna be a thing for forever. Yes, we're never gonna get rid of them entirely, okay? Even in countries where you have, like, actually no fucking weapons, like, no person is allowed to really have guns anymore, you still will have gun-related violence. You still have the occasional mass shooting. Do you know why? Because it's almost impossible to just get rid of it entirely. That's not a feasible option. Our goal on both ends is to limit it. Our goal on both ends is to hope that we can get it down to a much smaller number. Despite that, it actually is a pretty relatively small number already, but you know, it's fine. We'll cover those stats later.
They say we can't stop domestic terrorism without violating the Second Amendment.
And here's where I'm just going to absolutely fucking lose my shit. Holy fuck, you are an actual fucking governor, and you're allowed to say this absolute fucking bullshit. It is baffling to me that people actually support you. It truly is. Because you lie out your fucking ass. Who's saying that? Who is sitting here saying that domestic terrorism, or who is saying that we cannot stop domestic terrorism without violating the Second Amendment? Domestic terrorism is not typically even a talking point with firearm control. Do you know why? Anybody of fucking intelligence will sit here and tell you that firearms are not used in a lot of fucking domestic terrorist attacks. Like, are you fucking actually mentally ill? Like, look at these fucking stats right here. I'm gonna put them up on screen now. Look at firearms. Look how little that is actually used. Are you seeing this shit? It's actually down in the 2000s. It's down from 1990s and 1980s and the 1970s. So firearms are actually being used statistically less in domestic terrorism than any other form of domestic terrorism. Look at incendiary use. Look at explosives use. Look at the fucking 1970s when bombs were used so often. You still have more firearms used than the fucking 2000s. What are you talking about with domestic terrorism? You're off your fucking rocker. So these stats go all the way up until fucking 2013, according to this article, for this particular graph, right? This just encompasses up to 2013. Yes, I know. There's about a 10-year difference here. I can't really find good domestic terrorism stats for 2013 to 2023 yet. But it looks pretty much the same, right? It looks just about the exact average. But you have to remember, this is not taking into account every single little minor person that runs around and has some type of weird ideology in the background, goes out and shoots a bunch of people, and has nothing politically motivated behind it whatsoever. They don't have any political message at all, but because they have some like fucking Nazi memorabilia or some fucking Al-Qaeda memorabilia at home, that means that it was politically motivated. It's really hard to fucking prove that. Domestic terrorism has a strict fucking definition, right? Domestic terrorism needs to be politically motivated. All right, we're not even talking about mass shootings at this point, or mass killings in general, right? We're talking specifically about domestic terrorism. I don't know why you're trying to conflate mass killings and domestic terrorism into the same fucking umbrella, and they're not. All right, that's a very different fucking group. All right, and look at this. I know a lot of people like to sit here and say the biggest threat to America since the early 2000s, and especially now is neo-Nazis, it's the far right, it's fucking the KKK, all these fucking racist groups acting out domestic terrorism. Look at this fucking graph. 2 fucking attacks from 2000 to 2013 have been committed by a neo-Nazi group. The fucking KKK, 1. What? Like, where is this fucking where is this fucking mass group of roaming neo-Nazis murdering people? I'm just curious. I know they're going to bring up the very recent Texas, I think it was Texas Mall shooting, right? Where the guy, I think El Paso or something, the guy was a neo-Nazi apparently. Again, not politically motivated. That doesn't fucking count. Just because the dude is a Nazi and he goes and shoots people doesn't make that a political statement. That makes him a fucking psycho that went out and shot people. Do you understand the fucking difference here? Now, if he went out there and was fucking throwing copies of fucking Mein Kampf at motherfuckers while he also shot them in the fucking chest, then yeah, we can tack that up to a neo-Nazi attack. But until shit like that starts fucking happening, you can't just sit here and say that every single person, like, imagine the reverse. Imagine if somebody was like a fucking Black Lives Matter advocate, and that's like their fucking social media feeds are filled with pro-BLM posts, and they have like the fucking flag and shit at home. Imagine if that was taken, and like, oh, every single time one of those people, one of those advocates shoots anybody, it's automatically a terrorist attack from BLM. Like, do you see how fucking ridiculous this gets? Do you understand how they're just trying to make it seem a lot scarier than it is? It's just genuine fear-mongering from the extreme left. That's all this fucking is. Because if you actually look at the fucking stats, none of what they say is actually fucking true. Imagine that.
And the thoughts and prayers are the best we can do. I'm here to say that's a lie. In this country, we do have the power to change things, to reclaim our freedom from fear. Our ability to make a more perfect union is literally written into the Constitution. So today, I'm proposing the 28th Amendment to the United States Constitution to do just that. The 28th Amendment permanently enshrines 4 additions to the laws of our land. It raises the minimum age to purchase a firearm from 18 to 21. Because if you can't buy a beer, you shouldn't be able to buy a gun.
Wow, something we actually finally agree on. Good job. Oh, wait. You don't mean you're gonna God damn it, I was really hoping that you meant you were gonna drop the drinking age down to 18, where I think it fucking should be. Because, you can't buy a fucking beer, but you can sign your life away to the military. Makes fucking sense. Anyway, so currently, I don't believe there's any state that you can buy a handgun below the age of 21. Rifles, shotguns, etc., those are okay. Handguns are the ones that are limited to 21. Now, your proposal is to make all firearms be mandatory age 21. Okay, well, the issue with that is that, and as I'll put up on screen now, currently, those who engage in mass shootings used handguns 77.2% of the time, and 25.1% used quote-unquote assault rifles. And so what? Like, what would that do? What would raising the age? So you might limit more of the 25.1% of mass shootings using rifles. However, if we actually go into the stat and look at how many people were 21 or older when they committed that crime, do you think that number is going to drop significantly? Because I would venture to guess that it will. I don't know of a ton of mass shootings that are done by people who were too young to buy the gun, right? I don't know. Most of them are 21 or older, okay? Either that or a vast majority of them have stolen that weapon. A vast majority of them have taken it from someone else, as said in this fucking stat. While illegal purchases were 13% of those committing mass shootings. In cases involving K-12 school shootings, over 80% of individuals who engaged in shootings stole guns from family members. So now you're talking only 20% of those shootings were committed by a legally purchased firearm. Like, the stats just get smaller and smaller when you actually look through it, don't they? It's amazing how that works, huh? So then what does this law actually do for us? It doesn't seem to do what you're claiming it will do and help in lowering the stats on school shootings or mass shootings in general. Does it?
It mandates universal background checks to prevent truly dangerous people from purchasing a gun that can be used in a crime.
Let me guess, you're one of those people that believe that background checks don't really exist for guns, right? I'm sure that's something you actually fucking believe. Reality is, the vast majority of guns that are sold are actually done with background checks. It's a very small percentage of people who buy them from private, like person to person. Those typically are not regulated to a background check. However, a lot of states do require them, and I think every single state makes it illegal for you to transfer over a gun to somebody who you know shouldn't have one, or somebody who is a felon, etc., somebody who is regulated to not have a firearm. All right, so there are regulations in place for all of this. Now, every single licensed vendor has to do a background check. That is like federal wide. There's no states where you just buy a gun from a gun store without a background check. It just doesn't fucking exist. Now I'm gonna put up all these the state regulations on private sales right here real quick. Take a read through them. So I'm gonna go ahead and leave each of these. This is all 50 states. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and leave each of these images up for just a couple of seconds. If you have to, just pause and read through each individual state. We don't have time to sit here and discuss each single state. I think there's 23 states that make it so that no matter what, there is a background check. So even for private sellers, you have to do a background check. You have to like work through with the police or something of that measure, right? So all these states have some type of regulation about private selling. I know that that's going to be a big point, right? Background checks are pretty much already universal. I don't disagree with using universal background checks. I'm actually in favor of that. However, I know that we're going to sit here and try and use this as a point of like, look, nobody gets background checks. Look at all the privately sold guns that are just not subject to any type of regulation. It's a real problem in America, when in reality, that's not the fucking case. All right. Do you want to actually know how many guns were sold without background checks? Do you want to know? Because I'm sure you think that all gun sales at any of these gun shows or anything else had no background checks. But let's go ahead and look at the stats, shall we? So actually finding any type of information on this is actually kind of a difficult task, right? There's a lot of information floating around, and a lot of it is just kind of like, it's not good info, all right? So I'm going to go ahead and use the Wall Street Journal's own fucking post about this regarding back when Clinton was trying to say the whole 40% of guns are sold without any background checks, blah, 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 right? So these are the stats that they have. So this is a very left-leaning news agency. I'm using their own numbers that are still surprisingly small. So I'm sure the actual stats are still even smaller. But let's go ahead and look through it. So according to this 2004, so again, it's really hard to find real, like, well done stats on this. There were 70% of purchases, 42% came from a store, 9% from a private sale, 8% from a family or friend, so that's inheritance or you buy from a family or friend, 9% from just overall, like, just one-on-one. I'm not really sure how that would work, because most of the time when you do a private sale, it's from a family or friend. It's kind of rare to actually see somebody buy, like, just, I don't know, fucking Facebook Marketplace or some shit. But I mean, they do get sold on different websites, so I guess, yeah. 8% from family or friends, 7% from a gun show. Guess what? The vast majority of people that sell guns at gun shows are actual licensed vendors, which, again, by the way, makes them required to do a background check in all 50 fucking states. Okay, so the whole gun shows give like a ton of illegal guns to people that they aren't background checked. No, it doesn't fucking exist. Okay. 2% from a pawn shop. I believe they also have to do background checks. I'm like 99% that they have to have a license. So in order to sell a firearm in a pawn shop, so I think they actually have to be licensed. 1% for other. I don't know what the fuck that is, but yeah, there's not all these tons of guns that are going unchecked. All right, it doesn't exist. Now, you do have this one little study done in 2017 that a lot of people love to bring up. Okay, a ton of people quote these exact fucking stats. Now, keep in mind that this is from 2017, so it is a little older, but it says 22% of gun owners who reported obtaining a firearm in the previous 2 years did so without a background check. Among purchased firearms, the figure was 13%. The number was 0 for gun shows. 0 for gun shows. Imagine that. No firearms were bought without a background check at a gun show. Wow. 45% for online sales, so half and half for online sales almost. But the sample sizes were very small. Among non-purchased firearms, such as a gift or inheritance, 57% reported not having to do a background check. Yes, typically when you inherit or a gift a gun to somebody, you don't have to get a background checked. Again, it depends on your state. A lot of these states, almost half the states have background checks even for private transference of guns, like I said. So it really depends. But these are super, super, super small numbers. Okay, this whole study, it even says that it was to keep in mind that the numbers were extremely small, but the sample sizes were very small, right? Now, only 13%, or my bad, 22% of gun owners in the past 2 years, so 2015, 2016, reported buying a firearm without a background check. And a lot of them were online, apparently. 45% of them were online sales. I guess that, I'm not fully aware of that, but I guess a lot of online sales do happen, and those are private to private. Okay, whatever. Again, it depends on the states. It really does. But I just want to, reiterate, 0% of them reported from buying a gun at a gun show without a background check. That whole gun show loophole bullshit, oh, well, that's exactly what it is. Bullshit. Now this last one, like I said, this was in response to Hillary Clinton's whole claim that 40% of guns sold at gun shows or over the internet evade background checks, or 40% of total sales do this in order to evade background checks. The whole gun show loophole. All right. It goes on to say, as we demonstrated, the 40% figure, even if confirmed in a new survey, refers to all gun transactions, not just gun sales. A large percentage of the gun transactions not covered by background checks are family and friend transactions. So again, we're talking selling to your family or friends or inheritance or the gifting of firearms between a small group of people that all know each other, which would have been exempt from the universal background checks pushed by Democrats. Indeed, many gun show sales are made by licensed firearm dealers, and 17 states, which is actually more states now, they either got that number wrong or it's increased over the past few years, have that requirement, at least for handguns. Okay, so again, this whole idea that there's this gun show loophole is bullshit. The vast majority of unchecked firearms is through family and friends transactions. It's kind of hard to regulate that to begin with, all right? Not only that, I haven't seen his entirety proposal for the universal background checks. There doesn't seem to be a lot of information on that. He just says universal background checks. So if it's the same ones that was pushed by the Democrats with the 2016 election with Hillary Clinton, then again, the majority of these quote-unquote unchecked guns would still be unchecked because your proposal does not include transactions between family and friends, private selling and gifting of guns to people that you know. So I'm going to venture to guess that your whole point in this is to just be disingenuous and push this narrative that there's all these scary guns out there that are in the hands of criminals and people who weren't checked by background checks but somehow purchased legally. And as we can see, that's fucking bullshit.
It institutes reasonable waiting periods for all gun purchases.
So first off, future me, I forgot to include something in the previous argument and figured I'd just kind of sneak it in here. So again, on the whole unregulated guns and it leads to mass shootings and blah, blah, blah. Just so you're aware, only 4% of mass shootings have ever been carried out with a unregulated, non-background checked firearm. And here's the stat to prove it. Yeah, I just figured I'd sneak that a little bit in there, but continue on. So we're talking about waiting periods. Okay, well, what does a waiting period really do? I've never understood this, especially when you're talking about mass shootings. I mean, I can't really find stats on it, but everything, like conclusive stats anyway, but everything I can find usually points to it being premeditated. It's never just an impulse. It's never somebody just runs back home and like somehow buys a firearm that day and then brings it back, or like within the next 2-3 days. It almost is never like that. I can't find many instances like that. The majority of like impulse shootings are usually done by somebody stealing a firearm from a family member or a friend. They know where one is and then they steal that and then they use it impulsively. However, the vast majority are seemingly premeditated. They're planned out. And so that doesn't really make sense. Like the waiting period thing never ever made any sense to me. It doesn't seem like it matters. I'm not even fully in disagreement with it. I don't hate the idea of a waiting period. I don't like it, but I don't hate it. It just doesn't seem to do anything. It's just one of those things that they tack on at the end of all these fucking gun control talking points. It's like, oh yeah, and waiting periods. Like, why? What does it do? What is the what's the positive outcome of a waiting period? What do you do? What do you accomplish? Can you give me any stats that would show that this would actually help prevent or limit mass shootings or decrease their effectiveness? Do you have any stats on this at all?
And it bans civilians from buying assault rifles, those weapons of war our founding fathers never foresaw.
Yeah, our founding fathers never foresaw assault weapons. I mean, sure, I guess. What a fucking weird statement. The idea wasn't that the founding fathers' idea for the Second Amendment was never that, oh, well, you know, muskets and whatever. They were aware that technology changes. Do you think that they just thought that like muskets would be the thing forever and that we can never have upgrades to our weapons of war, as you like to call them? No. Like, it's so idiotic. Okay, the Second Amendment was specifically designed so that the government cannot then take away rights, because you know what gives people power here in this country? It's the First Amendment. It's the ability to question and protest your government. You know what protects the First Amendment? The fucking Second Amendment. Because guess what? You can see it throughout all of the other countries that have removed the people's rights to have guns that then became a tyrannical system. That's one of the first things they do is they limit or heavily regulate weapons so that they cannot stand against them. Because what the fuck are you going to do against a massive military with fucking muzzle loaders? Like varmint rifles. Like, what the fuck do you think the Second Amendment is for? Like, I never understood that with you people. You act like the Second Amendment is specifically just for like concealed carry and like self-defense. No, that is part of it. That is a small part of it. It's not about fucking hunting. Okay, that's another small part of it. The massive, most important part of the Second Amendment is the fact that we can stand up and fight the government if it becomes tyrannical. That's the point. So I don't think they ever foresaw these new weapons that we have today, sure, but they wanted this to include any future creations. They wanted us to have weapons that could stand against the government. Do you really think that the Founding Fathers are sitting there going, oh yeah, of course, we should just have fucking muskets against semi-automatic rifles? I mean, the government, the fucking military, has fully automatic weapon systems. I know you don't understand the difference. It's okay. All right. Semi-automatic means one squeeze, one bullet. Fully automatic means one squeeze and hold all the bullets. All right. It just sits there and pumps them out as long as you hold it down. Now, semi-automatic, every time you pull the trigger, you have to reset in order to fire another round. I know you don't understand. It's fine. It's fine. You've never touched a gun. It's whatever. Anyway, of course the Founding Fathers they didn't expect, M4s, AR-15s, fucking like modern day equipment. They didn't fucking expect tanks either. They didn't expect the fucking F-22 goddamn Raptor, did they? They didn't fucking expect F-16s. They didn't expect nuclear fucking capabilities. But guess what? That wasn't important. They understood that eventually things will get progressively more technologically advanced. They in their minds wanted the people to have firearms. Honestly, in their minds, they probably wanted the people to have the exact same fucking access to firearms as the government. But obviously, yeah, that's a little extreme, right? Even for me, I don't think people should be carrying around fully automatic fucking light machine guns, okay? That's fine. Fair enough. However, to sit here and say that we need to be extremely disadvantaged, so much so that we need small, low-capacity magazines, only real, like, hunting weapons only, a couple of handguns that are okay that have 5 to 10 rounds. It's so fucking idiotic. Because that just completely flies in the face of what the Second Amendment was designed for. It was not designed just to protect yourself against home invaders and people that would do you harm. It wasn't designed just to protect your ability and right to hunt game, okay? It's not what it was about. It was about your ability and right to defend yourself against a tyrannical government system that wants to completely strip away your rights. That was the fucking point. You absolute buffoon. But I suppose we should go ahead and get into the fucking assault weapons, assault rifle bullshit, okay? Fuck me. I don't understand why this is a common terminology now, because it's so fucking stupid. Like, your guys' definition of an assault weapon is anything over 10 rounds that's semi-auto and has a fucking buttstock and can have things attached to it. Like, it's so fucking idiotic. It baffles me. Because if I show you a picture of an M14 rifle and an AR-15 and ask you which one was the weapon of war, which I'm going to do that now. I'm going to put both of those up and ask you which one's the weapon of war. I guarantee you're going to say the AR-15, aren't you? Guess what? The only actual weapon of war in those two pictures is the M14 rifle. It was used in Vietnam. But you aren't scared of that one because it's wood. It's not spoopy. Not spoopy enough. It's not metal and futuristic. Meanwhile, the AR-15, typically chambered in 223 or 556. The fucking M14, chambered in 308, my guy. A lot bigger of a bullet, a lot more of a punch. But you don't ever fucking care about those weapons. You care about the fucking spoopy little quote-unquote assault rifles that are futuristic and scary. Not to mention, this whole fucking argument is bullshit because you're trying to talk about mass shootings. Well, guess what? Do you know how many people are killed every year by rifles? Do you? Because surprise, surprise, it's only 447 in 2021. That is the number of murder victims in the United States in 2021 by weapons used. This comes from like law enforcement, right? 447 murders have happened with rifles, the so-called assault weapons, as you call them. And that's not even just like the AR-15 platform, right? That's rifles in general. That's every type of rifle. That's bolt-action rifles, semi-automatic rifles, fucking vermin rifles that are chambered in goddamn .22. All right, these little tiny-ass fucking things. Fucking break-action rifles, lever-action rifles. All of those different types of rifles all are in this one stat. 447 of them are killed with rifles in 2021. You know what killed more people in 2021? Or more murders happened in 2021 with? Personal weapons, hands, fists, feet, etc. Your fucking fist killed more people in 2021 than fucking rifles. You know how many people were killed by handguns? 6,012. But meanwhile, you don't want to bother with the whole handguns are bad. You stepped away from that right now because you have the AR-15 and it's super spoopy looking and you can't handle that. Handguns, we're okay with those. Rifles, though, those damn assault weapons that only killed less than 500 people in a year. Those are the real threat to America. 350 million people in this country, 450 of them have died from assault weapons in quote-unquote assault weapons in 2021. We need to ban them. They're a real big threat to America. But I'm sure you're going to argue that, oh, well, all of those are mass shootings with the so-called assault weapons, right? Okay, well, I got stats for you on that too. Don't you worry. So, these come from 1982 to 2023. Handguns are the most common weapon type used in mass shootings in the United States. While a total of 161 different handguns being used in 111 incidents between 1982 and April 2023. These figures are calculated from a total of 142 reported cases over this period, meaning handguns are involved in about 78% of mass shootings. So where's your spoopy AR-15 assault rifles? Like, okay, so the involvement of semi-automatic rifles in mass shootings. Owing to their use in several high-profile mass shootings, there has been much public discussion over suitability or necessity of assault weapons, quote-unquote, for the purpose of self-defense. While any definition of assault weapon blah 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 blah. Since 1985, there has been a total of 58 mass shootings involving rifles, mostly semi-automatics. So that doesn't exclude like lever actions, break action, fucking bolt actions, right? The figure is underreported though, as it excludes the multiple semi-automatic and quote-unquote fully automatic. What they really mean is bump stock, which is not actually fully automatic. By definition, it is still semi-automatic, and you could fucking fight me on that. All right. Rifles used in 2017 Las Vegas Strip massacre. And I mean, that's not really a good way to say that they're underreported because they didn't report all of these different bump stock rifles. Or I think he had like 8 bump stocks and like fucking 30 different rifles sitting up there, but obviously not all of them were used. So we can see 58 mass shootings using rifles versus 142 reported cases with 161 handguns. So 58 mass shootings with a third of what is currently being done with handguns. So a third of mass shootings involve a semi-automatic rifle than what is done with handguns. But the spoopy AR-15, that's what we need to go after. You know what it is, guys. It's very, very scary. It looks modern and scary, and I don't like it, and it needs to be gone.
This will guarantee states as well the ability to enact common sense gun safety laws.
Man, if that doesn't fucking scare you, I don't know what will. Jesus fuck. That's part of his whole 28th Amendment is giving the states the power to enact quote unquote common sense gun safety laws. What exactly is that? What is that by definition? Does that just allow states to enact whatever type of laws that they can half-ass fucking justify? Like you're trying to just half-ass justify all the fucking rules and regulations that you're trying to input in this 28th Amendment? What exactly does that look like? What kind of fucking power are you giving the states to regulate our fucking constitutional right? What kind of fucking power are you giving them?
While leaving the Second Amendment intact and respecting America's gun-owning tradition. The 28th locks in the common sense constitutional protections that Democrats, Republicans, independents, and gun owners overwhelmingly support.
Yeah, bullshit. I would love to see your actual stats on that. I just don't I don't believe it. All right, you can literally look through and find different stats leading to one way or the other. All right, it's really easy to get opinion polls to say what you want them to say. Okay, I don't care about that. I just fucking don't. None of it even matters to me because this isn't about your fucking opinion. I don't give a fuck about your opinion. Guess what? These are the facts. These are the actual hard, cold facts. I don't give a fuck about your opinion, and I don't give a fuck about your feeling.
And it ensures NRA-owned politicians can never strip those protections away. This fight won't be easy, and it certainly won't be fast. Convening a constitutional convention requires 2/3 of the states to call for this. California will be the first. But that's just the beginning. Join us by going to campaignfordemocracy.com and signing the petition. To protect our communities and protect our freedom, support the 28th.
That's another thing that's kind of scary about this whole 28th Amendment. What does it mean by it ensures that politicians, quote unquote, bought by the NRA, because apparently that's a thing, can never repeal these? Do you not understand how constitutional amendments work? Amendments can be changed. They can be altered. They could, just like you are offering this as this amendment to alter the second, we can then turn around and remove your amendment altogether. Or we can change it, or we can alter it in what ways that the people want. Okay, so I don't know what insurances you're trying to make so that the NRA can never have any fucking sway in this anymore. That's a little scary, but that's the gist of it. That's the entirety of the video. It's just fucking bullshit. Anybody can see through this shit. I'm so tired of having to have the same debate with people over and over again because so many places are throwing out these massive stats that aren't real. Like the amount of people that want to sit here and say that there have been 600 mass shootings since the start of this year. It's so ridiculous. It's so insane to me because they count any type of mass shooting. A gun going off, like a gun going off anywhere near more than one other person means it's a mass shooting, apparently. So like even an accidental fucking discharge, oh, mass shooting. Like it's so obvious that they're trying to push a political agenda that it actually fucking hurts. And the amount of people who are just willing to buy into this and just go along with it fucking baffles me. I don't understand it. I don't understand why people are just eating this shit up when it's so fucking easy to disprove it. But anyway, that's gonna be it for me for this one. Hopefully you all enjoyed, and as always, feel free to follow me on the Twitter or join in on the public little Discord server that we have going. Whether you agree or disagree with me, you're more than welcome to come in and yell at me on our Discord server and tell me how much of a awful, horrible, Second Amendment loving piece of shit I am. But hopefully you all enjoyed. I'll catch y'all in the next one.